Right then guys, have you ever wondered what pro triathletes do on race morning? How early they might arrive in transition area, or if they've got any particular pre-race checks, if there's some superstitions that they've got to get out of their head before the gun goes off perhaps?
Well, if you have, then you'll be glad to know that Fraser and myself have recently caught up with a few pro triathletes to ask them just that, and a few other race day related questions.
Oh, could I only pick one thing?
Ich bin hier heute mit Laura Philipp.
Nice.
Is that okay?
Das war gut.
That's good. In the morning, what checks are you doing first thing in transition?
As soon as I get to transition, I'm checking my tyres because that's probably the most complicated thing to change. Then I'll check my Di2 battery, and then that's all I check really. Then it's kind of putting my shoes on, putting my nutrition. Maybe with Ironman we have those bags, so go and check if I've done that the night before, that's all okay, but normally it is. So those are the first things I check.
And that's just a routine regardless of the race, isn't it?
Yeah, for me it's all about routine. No, whether it's Kona World Championships or my local fish and chipper down the road, I'm still getting same routine.
Michelle, what would you do when you get into transition in the first thing in the morning? Like check, what's your checks?
You go through the whole routines, you check your bike bags, your run bag, and then of course the last thing you check is your bike, to make sure that no one has touched it during night, that the wheels is pumped up, the energy is on the bike, and and then I walk through transition just to make sure that I don't f it up.
First I go to my bike, put the bottles in the bike and check if my power meter is working, check the pressure of the tires and spin the chain. Just make sure that everything is working, maybe pump more air into the tires and
then you're done.
Or maybe I click my shoes into the pedals. I do that and then I go check my transition bags, run bag,
done.
Bike bag, done.
What are your sort of morning checks in transition on race morning? Are you quite particular?
I think for me, obviously the good one is making sure I got the right gear on the bike, and literally I lay everything out on the bed in the room the night before as I'm packing it to make sure it's all there for when I get there, and that all the bolts are tight on my legs and things.
Again, pretty important there.
So what do you check in the morning, Mark?
Well, actually, due to previous issues and experiences, I always check my brake calipers and my tyres just to make sure that neither are rubbing. Long story short, I did a whole Ironman 70.3 race with my tyre rubbing against my brake caliper. Needless to say, it was a pretty flipping tough day out.
Well, that is all very well, as long as you get there early enough to have the time to do those checks, right?
All right, Andy, how early do you arrive in transition on race morning?
I get there a good couple of hours before, to be fair. I got a lot of legs and things to put in place, so I need to make sure everything's working.
I think that's fair enough.
I'm one of the guys who wants to go late to transition zone, but still, if you want to do an Ironman race, you cannot be too late because you also don't want to stress yourself. So it's around about 1 hour to the race start.
Usually 1.5 hours before the gun goes.
For any race?
Yeah.
Any distance?
Or maybe not an Olympic local distance race, or maybe even there because you have to check in your bike on race morning.
I get to transition about 60 minutes before the race, minimum, sometimes a little bit more, unless it's a split transition and then it gets very complicated.
But that doesn't matter how long the race is, half Ironman, full Ironman, same?
Nope, half Ironman, 70.3, full Ironman, ITU, unless there's a practical reason, in terms of security and things like that. But yeah, at least 60 minutes.
Bish, bash, bosh, in and out.
In and out like a fiddler's elbow.
Well, I have got to say that is similar to myself, really. I'd always rather be nice and early, chilled and relaxed, rather than rushing around and panicking. Anything that you do differently, Fraser?
No, not particularly, Mark. To be fair, I'm not the most punctual at the best of times, but there is one particular race that I do recall getting there and being ready for what I thought was the start, but then realizing the swim was 1 mile down the beach because it was a point-to-point swim. So needless to say, that was a rather quick run down the beach.
That sounds a little bit stressful. Well, when that is all done and dusted, is there anything that you quite like to eat straight after a race?
Not particularly. I mean, depends what state my stomach is in, but if it's all good and well and I'm able to cope with it, some pizza, burger, those types of tasty things.
Well, that sounds pretty nice. Well, on that note, we did ask a bunch of the pro triathletes what they like to eat post-race.
What do you eat straight after a race?
Straight after a race, I would love to say that I was taking a protein shake and being really smart about my choices so I could recover faster. But I would say I eat everything that I feel like, and that's probably a lot of crap food. The first years I was in Kona, my go-to place was Taco Bell because we really don't have that in Denmark. So I just went there and had my nachos with lots of extra cheese and
just straight up the hill. And
yeah, totally. And that was the worst part because Taco Bell is up the hill, So like, oh my God, yeah, not Palani again.
Usually I like to go for something with salt because I had all my race fuel liquids, which are very sweet. So a pizza would be nice.
Sometimes you just want food, like real food. So I tried one Ironman, I came in transition and there was only like sausages. And I'm like, I don't really want sausages and French fries right now. I want some real food. But otherwise I kind of eat whatever there is. But then again, I make sure that it's also something that my body needs to.
So there's not something you always have to have. You're not superstitious.
No. I eat whatever. I can eat candy or whatever there is. Yeah, drink a Coke maybe. And
Don't really eat that much straight after, which I know is a bad thing. But if anything, good pizza. I like a good pizza. Some good toppings.
Right, I'm with Andy there. It is all about pizza post-race. You just can't really go wrong with pizza, can you?
No, it's pretty tasty.
Well, now moving on. Is there anything stupid that you have done during a race, Fraser? Because personally speaking, I've got quite a good story here because I'm at 70.3 Dublin, which you will remember. I was leading onto the bike when my foot slipped off the top of my bike shoe and yeah, it wasn't pretty.
No, you ended up with a lot of blood, but I do recall riding out of T1 and watching you run back towards me to collect your bike shoes, which was a little bit odd.
Well, yeah, so basically my foot slipped off, went into the spokes, which wasn't nice. So a bit of blood there, but I did manage to keep the bike upright, but I lost my bike shoes in the process. Went back, collected them, got my chain unstuck, and then I was so cross with myself. I rode like a madman for like 20 or 30 minutes, caught up with you guys, and then decided I'd sit on the front and just churn the power out. And needless to say, I blew up part around the run and Fraser came past me again.
Smartest racing in the world, but never mind.
Is there anything stupid you've ever done, maybe when you're younger, or things in a race that you think, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah, one time it was one of my first 70.3 races. I forgot to put my bib number on, and then I had to stop, run back through the whole transition zone. It was a long one. It was in Monaco. It was also a nice course. And then I need to find my bag again because it was already dropped in somewhere. And yeah, but
you got it.
But finally I got it, and I had a good time. It was not. I did not. Was not able to run for the top spots at this time, but I had fun and I raced and I really enjoyed that race.
Tim, what is the most stupid thing you've tried to eat in a race?
I think it was when I was doing the London Youth Games, so I was young and it was a swimming pool swim. Had Scott Tinley swimming trunks on. They had a nice little pocket at the back, and that was when the Lucozade Energy little sweet tabs, and I thought I'm going to take some of those on the bike. So I put them in the pocket, did the swim, came out, and I went to get them, and I was like, what is, oh no, they dissolve in water. So I had Lucozade all over my bum, and yeah, well, I didn't actually, I consumed some of it, but yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Was it a nice orange colour?
Yeah, my bum was afterwards. I had to get help washing it and stuff.
So talking about stupid things you've done in races, if I go back into the recesses of my mind and remember pretty much the first race I ever did internationally as a junior, I was so nervous running out of T2 that I might have forgotten to take my helmet off.
Ah, classic, I love it. Well, I've really enjoyed that from all the pros today, and what it does highlight is the pros aren't all that different from us guys. They are human after all, so some really funny stuff there. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and to see all our other videos on GTN, just click on the globe and subscribe.
Yeah, and if you want to see a video that we did about 3 weekly runs, then you can get that here.
Yeah, and if you'd like to see the best triathlon kit for under $100, then just click down here.